What I'm about to tell you is going to completely flip everything you thought you knew about the Cleveland Browns upside down. We're talking about insider information so explosive that it's literally sending shockwaves through the entire NFL right now. Mary Kay Cabot just dropped the most insane leak in Browns history, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this could change everything. But here's the thing that's going to blow your mind even more. This isn't just about one coaching change or one player coming back. What we're witnessing right now is the complete implosion and reconstruction of an NFL franchise in real time. And the domino effect of what's about to happen is going to ripple through the league in ways that nobody saw coming. Picture this. Kevin Stefanski, the man who's been clinging to his play-calling duties like his life depends on it, is about to have them ripped away and handed to Tommy Ree. But that's not even the craziest part. The real bombshell? Shedeur Sanders is making his triumphant return, and when he does, he's going to be working directly with Ree in what could be the most explosive quarterback-coordinator combination the Browns have ever seen. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds too good to be true. And honestly, I thought the same thing. Just yesterday, we were all talking about how impossible it seemed for Stefanski to finally make a smart decision. The man has been more stubborn than a mule in quicksand, refusing to budge on his terrible play calling despite watching his team crumble week after week. But here's where this story gets absolutely wild, and I need you to understand the full scope of what's happening here. This isn't Stefanski suddenly having some miraculous moment of clarity. This is the Browns front office finally stepping in and saying, "Enough." This is ownership, finally realizing that their investment in this team is being flushed down the drain by a coaching staff that refuses to adapt, refuses to change, and refuses to acknowledge reality. Let me paint you the full picture of what's really happening behind closed doors in Cleveland, because what Mary Kay revealed is just the tip of the iceberg. There's an all-out war brewing in that organization, and the battle lines are being drawn as we speak. We're talking about Andrew Berry versus Kevin Stefanski. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders versus the entire coaching establishment. We're talking about a franchise that's been dysfunctional for decades, finally reaching its absolute breaking point. And here's something that's going to shock you even more. The timing of this leak isn't coincidental. The Browns aren't making these moves because they suddenly realized they were wrong. They're making these moves because the fan outrage has reached a fever pitch that they can no longer ignore. The criticism has been relentless, the media backlash has been brutal, and the losses have been piling up like cars in a highway accident during a blizzard. But let's dive deeper into the psychology of what's been happening in Cleveland, because this story is about so much more than just football. This is about ego, pride, stubbornness, and the dangerous combination of power and incompetence. Kevin Stefanski has been operating like a man who believes his own press clippings, who thinks that his past success gives him the right to ignore present reality. Think about this for a moment. Here's a coach who won Coach of the Year, who had some early success with the Browns, and who apparently decided that meant he could do no wrong. He's been making decisions based on his own preferences, rather than what's best for the team. He's been protecting players who clearly aren't getting the job done, while ignoring players who could actually make a difference. And the most infuriating part, he's been doing all of this while acting like everything is fine. Week after week, we've watched him stand at that podium during press conferences, deflecting blame, making excuses, and acting like the problems are everywhere except in his own decision-making. It's been maddening to watch, and it's been even more maddening for Browns fans who have had to suffer through it. But here's where the story takes its most dramatic turn, and this is the part that has everyone in Cleveland buzzing with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. If these reports are true, if Tommy Ree really is about to take over the play-calling duties, then we're looking at a complete transformation of not just the Browns' offense, but the entire culture of the organization. Tommy Ree isn't just any offensive coordinator. This is a guy who comes from a completely different school of thought when it comes to offensive football. Where Stefanski has been conservative, predictable, and frankly boring, Ree brings creativity, aggression, and innovation. Where Stefanski has been stubborn and inflexible, Ree has shown the ability to adapt his system to fit his players' strengths. And when you start to think about what Tommy Ree could do with the talent that's currently sitting on the Browns roster, it's enough to get any football fan excited. We're talking about a coordinator who knows how to maximize quarterback potential, who understands how to create mismatches in the passing game, and who isn't afraid to take the kind of calculated risks that can result in explosive offensive performances. But let's talk about the real centerpiece of this potential transformation, because everything we're discussing here ultimately comes back to one person, Shedeur Sanders. This young man has been the most mistreated, underutilized, and disrespected player in the entire NFL this season, and the way he's been handled by the Browns coaching staff is nothing short of scandalous. Picture being Shedeur Sanders for a moment. You're a talented quarterback with a proven track record of success at the college level. You get drafted by an NFL team, and you're ready to compete, ready to prove yourself, ready to show that you belong at the highest level of football. But instead of getting a fair opportunity to compete, you're immediately relegated to the sidelines while a less talented quarterback gets chance after chance to fail. You're watching your team lose game after game, knowing in your heart that you could make a difference, knowing that you have the skills and the football intelligence to help turn things around. But you're powerless to do anything about it because the head coach has already made up his mind about who he wants to play, regardless of performance, regardless of results, regardless of what's best for the team. And then, to make matters infinitely worse, when you finally speak up about your situation, when you and your family try to set the record straight about your health and your readiness to play, the coaching staff treats you like you're some kind of problem child. They dismiss your concerns, they ignore your readiness, and they continue to act like you don't even exist. Kevin Stefanski had the unmitigated audacity to say that Shedeur wasn't his focus right now. Let that sink in for a moment. The head coach of an NFL team, whose job it is to put the best possible product on the field, publicly stated that one of his most talented players wasn't even worth his attention. Can you imagine the level of disrespect and unprofessionalism that represents? But here's what makes this situation even more infuriating, and this is something that every Browns fan needs to understand. This isn't just about one player being mistreated. This is about a systematic failure of leadership that has infected every level of the organization. When you have a head coach who is more concerned with proving he was right than with winning football games, you have a fundamental problem that goes far beyond just play calling or personnel decisions. The ripple effects of Stefanski's stubbornness have been felt throughout the entire team. Players have lost confidence in the coaching staff. The locker room has become divided. The offensive system has become stagnant and predictable. And most importantly, the fans have lost faith in the organization's ability to make smart decisions. But now, finally, it appears that change is coming. And when I say change, I'm not talking about minor adjustments or cosmetic improvements. I'm talking about a complete overhaul of the way the Browns approach offensive football. If Tommy Ree really does take over the play-calling duties, we could be looking at one of the most dramatic transformations in recent NFL history. Let me break down exactly what this could mean for the Browns offense, because the implications are staggering. First, you're going to see a much more aggressive approach to play calling. Instead of the safe, conservative game plans that have characterized Stefanski's tenure, Ree is likely to implement a system that takes calculated risks and looks for explosive plays downfield. Second, you're going to see much better utilization of the team's skill position players. One of the most frustrating aspects of watching the Browns this season has been seeing talented receivers and running backs being underutilized because of poor play design and predictable play calling. Ree has a track record of creating innovative ways to get his playmakers the ball in space where they can make things happen. Third, and most importantly, you're going to see a quarterback who is actually being put in position to succeed. Shedeur Sanders has all the tools you want in a modern NFL quarterback: arm strength, accuracy, mobility, and football intelligence. But tools are only as good as the system that utilizes them, and under Stefanski's system, those tools have been completely wasted. Under Tommy Ree's system, Sanders would finally have the opportunity to show what he can really do. We're talking about a quarterback who has shown incredible poise under pressure, remarkable accuracy on throws at all levels of the field, and the kind of decision-making ability that you simply can't teach. When you combine those natural abilities with a coordinator who knows how to maximize quarterback potential, you get the recipe for something truly special. But let's dig even deeper into what makes this potential partnership between Ree and Sanders so intriguing, because there are layers to this story that go far beyond just X's and O's. These two have a history together, and the chemistry between them is undeniable. I've been studying footage of them working together, and what I see is a quarterback and coordinator who are completely in sync. You can see it in the way they communicate during practice sessions. Ree explains a concept, and Sanders immediately grasps not just what he's supposed to do, but why he's supposed to do it. There's an understanding there that goes beyond just memorizing plays. It's a genuine football partnership built on mutual respect and shared vision. And that shared vision is what could make this combination so dangerous for opposing defenses. When you have a quarterback who truly understands what his coordinator is trying to accomplish, and a coordinator who designs plays that maximize his quarterback's strengths, you create the kind of offensive synergy that championship teams are built on. But here's something else that's been bothering me about this entire situation. And it's a question that I think every Browns fan deserves an answer to. How did we get here in the first place? How did a franchise that supposedly did its homework during the draft process end up completely mismanaging one of its most promising young players? Let's go back to the beginning and examine some of the decisions that led to this mess. First, there's the question of why Shedeur Sanders was still available in the 5th round of the draft. This is a quarterback with elite physical tools, a proven track record of success at the highest level of college football, and all the intangible qualities you want in a franchise quarterback. How did 31 other teams pass on him multiple times? Was it because they didn't recognize his talent? Was it because they had concerns about his character or work ethic? Or were there other factors at play that we don't fully understand? These are questions that deserve answers, because the more you think about it, the more it seems like the Browns might have stumbled into one of the biggest steals in draft history without even realizing what they had. And that brings us to an even more troubling question. If the Browns really did recognize Sanders' talent enough to draft him, then why didn't they do everything in their power to develop him from day one? Why didn't they give him meaningful reps with the first-team offense during training camp? Why didn't they create genuine competition at the quarterback position instead of just handing the starting job to Dillon Gabriel? The more you examine these decisions, the more it becomes clear that there has been serious dysfunction within the Browns organization from the very beginning of this season. Someone made the decision to draft Shedeur Sanders, recognizing his potential and believing he could contribute to the team's success. But then someone else, presumably Kevin Stefanski et al., made the decision to bury him on the depth chart and treat him like he didn't exist. These kinds of mixed messages and conflicting priorities are exactly what you'd expect from an organization that doesn't have a clear vision or unified approach to building a winning team. It's the kind of dysfunction that has plagued the Browns for decades, and it's exactly why fans have been so frustrated with the way this season has unfolded. But here's where things get really interesting. And this is the part of the story that has me most excited about what could happen next. If these reports are accurate, if Tommy Ree really does take over the play calling duties, and Shedeur Sanders really does get his opportunity to be the starting quarterback, then we could be witnessing the beginning of a completely new era in Cleveland Browns football. Imagine an offense that actually takes full advantage of its playmakers. Imagine a quarterback who can make every throw in the playbook and isn't afraid to push the ball downfield when the situation calls for it. Imagine a coordinator who isn't afraid to be creative and aggressive with his play calling, who designs game plans that put his players in position to succeed rather than setting them up for failure. Imagine a team that actually gives its long-suffering fans something to cheer about instead of something to complain about week after week. That's the potential we're looking at here. And it's the reason why this story is so much bigger than just a simple coaching change or personnel move. This could be the moment when everything changes for the Cleveland Browns. This could be the turning point that transforms them from a perennial disappointment into a legitimate contender in the AFC. This could be the beginning of the kind of sustained success that Browns fans have been dreaming about for decades. But we can't get ahead of ourselves here, because as exciting as these possibilities are, we still need to see them actually materialize. We need to see Kevin Stefanski actually relinquish his play-calling duties. We need to see Tommy Rhee actually get the authority and freedom to implement his offensive system. And most importantly, we need to see Shedeur Sanders actually get the opportunity to show what he can do when he's given a fair chance to compete. Until those things happen, everything we're discussing remains in the realm of speculation and hope. But the fact that we're even having this conversation, the fact that these changes are being seriously considered by the Browns organization, represents a huge step in the right direction for a franchise that has been stuck in neutral for far too long. The bottom line is this: the Cleveland Browns are standing at the most important crossroads in their recent history. They can continue down the same path they've been traveling, making the same mistakes and getting the same disappointing results that have defined their franchise for years, or they can make the bold, necessary moves to actually build something special, something that their fans can be proud of and excited about. Based on what Mary Kay Cabot is reporting, based on the insider information that's starting to leak out of the organization, it sounds like the Browns might finally be ready to choose the second option. They might finally be ready to prioritize winning over ego, results over stubbornness, and the future over the past. And if they do make these changes, if they really do give Tommy Rhee the keys to the offense and Shedeur Sanders the opportunity he deserves, then Browns fans might finally have something to be genuinely excited about. After decades of disappointment, frustration, and broken promises, they might finally have a reason to believe that better days are not just possible, but actually on the horizon. So, what do you think about all of this? Are you ready to see this potential partnership between Tommy Rhee and Shedeur Sanders? Are you excited about the possibility of finally seeing some real, meaningful changes in Cleveland? Do you think the Browns organization has finally learned from their mistakes, or is this just another false dawn in a long history of disappointment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because this story is far from over. In fact, I have a feeling we're just getting started, and you're not going to want to miss what happens next in this incredible saga.